Sweet. We're looking good. We're looking good. Perfect. So, welcome to another episode of Jay's Big Chat with me, your host, Jermaine, aka Jay. And joining me to talk about the big topic that is stress, we've got Danielle, Toni, and Adam. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. I've actually been looking forward to this conversation because I think this topic called stress, this word called stress seems to be one that's thrown about quite often. So I kind of am very intrigued to hear some stories. And I think I just want to literally kickstart. Let's jump straight into it. And let's talk about the word stress. So when you hear the word stress, what sort of comes to mind? Anyone just jump in.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Money for me.
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
Really? As in like stressed about money?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like the past 2 years I've been working for myself ever since really I finished uni. I finished uni when I was 22, and then I got a job for maybe 4 months, and kind of got like pressured and pushed out. My boss wasn't very nice, and then I kind of like set up my own events company.
Oh, wow.
Didn't tell my parents or anything, and kind of went all out on my own. Did loads and loads of things, lost loads of money. I was like in thousands of pounds of debt, so obviously stress for there. Wow. And then I maybe worked for myself maybe for nine months before I told my parents. I just like broke down in tears, telling them, saying, "Oh, you're not going to believe what I've done for the past 9." But yeah, that's what springs to mind really. Money stresses in the past for me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And Toni, you mentioned sort of chaos. Like what does chaos look like?
Chaos is just really not having a grounded perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, something happens and you attach yourself to this movie that's in your mind about what potential outcomes are and how it matches past experiences. And it's just like, you're not present with the moment to like strategize. So it's just like, I just think about the times that I was stressed and I would just allow these stories to run rapid. And I'm just like, oh, what to do? Who am I? Where to go? How do I, and it has nothing to do with the present moment. So when I think about stress, I think about just straight up chaos.
That is so true. That's actually so true. Like, I mean, it's almost one of those situations, as you said, it's not you thinking logically, is it? It's not you. And that's why a lot of the times when you're stressed, you're almost told to, you almost tell yourself, and others do tell you, like, sort of calm down. Let's sort of go through and see what we can do. Like, it's not as bad as it seems. Because as you said, like the stories and the versions of events that you play in your head because of stress is definitely not the one. Danielle, what were you sort of echoing?
When I think of stress, I kind of think of today's like grind culture, like everything has to be money making. We always have to be going. And for me, I'm not very much that way. So it's stressful to keep up these days, I feel, with everybody else. It's hard for me.
Yeah. But like, do you think that there's good stress? Like, is there a good type of stress?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel for me, I can be honestly on the lazier side. So my husband likes to stress me out a little bit in a good way to get me motivated and get me done. And it's a good reminder. So yeah, I would say there's some good stress.
I mean, I think good stress is good because you don't want to be too comfortable, do you? If you're too comfortable, you'll get like complacent, and you won't kind of like push yourself to like achieve your goals and your objectives in life. Especially for me, running my own business, I'd probably say I'm stressed quite a lot of the time. Obviously, hitting deadlines, managing client expectations, obviously driving sales and stuff like that. So if I wasn't stressed, I wouldn't. Well, stress is good, and being self-motivated. It's kind of some of the things I'd probably say
Yeah.
They're quite good. So get up in the morning, and obviously start my day, go to the gym, etc. Makes me feel good. And then obviously you want that stress to be to achieving your goals and surpassing expectations of clients. So yeah, I'd definitely say stress is quite good, but not too much stress.
Not but what is it about the word stress that just makes it so easy to use? Like, I'm pretty sure in a day, in an average day, you know, if you're not using the word stress, you're hearing the word stress. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it can actually be like not a stressful situation. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm tired, but you're not actually really tired. Like, you just say it just for the sake of it, you know. It's like, are you really stressed every time you say you're stressed? Because I'm pretty sure we all know what stress is, you know. We all know what cold is, but sometimes it gets a little bit like chilly. We're like, oh my gosh, it's so cold, but we actually know what a real coldness is. So is it because there's different levels, or are we just sort of programmed to just any little bit of pressure we say, you know, sort of we're stressed?
I think it's like a catch-all phrase almost.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all phrase for a lot of people, and it has no real stigma behind it where it's acceptable to say, oh, I'm stressed, or rather than maybe your deeper feelings, like maybe it's more I'm depressed, but there's stigmas behind that. So I think people use it kind of freely in our generation, in our culture.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What were you saying, Toni?
I was gonna say, because you said, or do you think it's just a program? And I do, because whether we are literate in understanding this or not, we are technological beings. Like, our brain is like the largest computer in the world. And so when you have a social brand, a cultural brand around stress being normalized as something like, you know, whether it's like, oh, here goes the weather, or oh, here goes Trump. And like, you know, it's just like this notion of brand of like being stressed, complaining about it. It's like socially affirmed and normalized to affirm yourself as stress, identify yourself as stress, because it's like popular. It's the program. This is what we say. This is what we do. This is how we connect. This is how we familiarize with each other, even with strangers. You know, you get on the elevator with someone, it's just like, oh, how y'all doing? You know, it's just like this tone of, you know what I'm saying? I mean, low key, just negativity, you know? So I do think it's definitely associated with, you know, the program that we have, and it's our default, you know?
Because like, I was having a conversation with someone and they said, you know, kind of a little bit of what Adam mentioned about sort of stress driving them forward. Can stress be like misinterpreted for something else? You know, is it stress that's driving you? Is it because you're under stress, or is it because you are stressed why you're more productive, or why, you know, you sort of push yourself more? Or, you know, have we just handed stress that title?
No, it could go either way, maybe. I think some people might say the stress because they don't know the answer to a question or the thing that's put in front of them, rather than finding the solution. So they'd rather put themselves in like a pickle, should we say, and like worry about that situation, rather than spending the energy and time trying to find the solution to. That might be something that I would say, probably.
Yeah. So like in sort of your personal lives, like what, just thinking even back to today, like when was the last time you say you were stressed? Or when was the last time you said to yourself, oh gosh, I'm so stressed? Or to someone else?
Probably a few hours ago.
Yeah.
I've been trying to sign this new client, and I've been talking to them for a week or two, and been like, I've been holding the hand for the past 2 weeks, and then it comes to signing the contract. Well, I've sent over the onboarding, sent over the contract, sent over the invoice, and they say X when I've been saying Y, and then it's just like, oh, this is just a situation when I've literally spelt it out for you. Why can't you understand, that kind of thing? So
Stress.
Oh yeah, literally.
Yeah. What about the rest of you? When's the last time?
This morning, probably.
Yeah.
I think I say it at least once a day, if not more than that. So
at the very least, like, what stresses you out the most then? What's your use for the word stress?
What stresses me out the most? I don't know. I can get very overwhelmed sensory wise, and that really stresses me out. So if a lot is going on, or there's a lot of talking and stuff like that, that really stresses me out. So with 3 kids, it's a lot of talking, especially with 2 older girls. And it can become stressful for me. I feel stress a lot during my day, just because I prefer things to be a little bit more quiet for me to function well.
Yeah, of course. And I take it, are you working from home?
I am now, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just getting some yoga classes going up on Zoom. So it's a good stress, like we were talking about. And I'm excited for the stuff going on. Yeah.
Very nice. So, like, again, when I've been speaking to individuals about sort of just how's your day been, general conversation, kind of what we've mentioned, stuff to do with money, family, jobs. People say that they're stressed about all these kind of things, right? And obviously everyone deals with different things differently. So in terms of stress, to whatever degree, like, for individuals who are sort of watching this, and just for us here as well, obviously we've dealt with stress and overcome, well, hopefully overcome most of our stressful situations. How would you sort of, what sort of advice would you give to someone dealing with or under a stressful situation?
Practical advice, I would,
unless you just don't deal with unless you guys don't actually deal with stress.
Well, the thing, I mean, I'm listening to you all, and I'm like, should I answer this question? I'm nervous because I've since 2020 hit, I've taken a whole nother approach in my life. I had 2019, it was a lot. It was my darkest year of my entire life, and so 2020, it shifted me in how do I approach my whole life, and everything became new. So I can never go back to the way life was. And so it's like I've become a savage about, like, everything and anything and anybody has to work around my self-care and my nothing. I'm just like really like vicious about it, because I'm like kind of attached to my groundedness, my presence, and how I prevent stress, bad stress, if you will, and so if I was to tell anyone that has ongoing stress, I would tell, I just kind of revisit how you want to live. How do you actually want to live? Like, not just goals, like, what you want to achieve financially, but like, what are your emotional goals?
Yeah.
Like, what is your goals for pleasure and play and fun in your life? I find myself as an entrepreneur that contributes to like positive living and things like that you can stress yourself out doing the right and good things. And so when it comes to social advocacy, or when it comes to like purposeful actions, and when it comes to like being there for people, you can burn yourself out, you can stress yourself out doing all of those things. And so for me, being a heart-led leader, I had to look at my life for the past 7 years and say, like, I literally burnt my life out doing good things. And so 2020 has really, all the changes that have happened last year, it really gave me a perspective of like, I'm like a full warrior, like self-care, well-being, joy, pleasure, fun, over everything. Whether it's mom, cousins, no, it doesn't matter. Money, it's because I almost died. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when you get to that rock bottom, you're no good for anybody. But that rock bottom happens in drip drops. It's just that those drip drops that happen. So I would tell people who are dealing with ongoing stress to give themselves time and space and say, how much percentage of my life on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, Am I making pleasure, self-care a priority? Not as something to check off the list, like, oh, I did my self-care. Now, you know, I'm talking about real joy. I'm talking about real like you feel alive.
Of course.
So I would definitely tell people to get just curious about, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I mean, it makes all the sense, because obviously I started my IT company when I was 22, and you know, at that time, I had just newly gotten married. I already had a kid, and you know, I didn't go to uni because I didn't feel like I needed to. I had the stress. I remember being in college and I had the stress of my tutors saying, "Oh, Jermaine, you've got to go to uni. You've got to do your UCAS. You got to do this. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this." And you know, I had that stress of all of my other peers sort of going on the open days. So then I had to go on the open days, and and until the end, you know, it stress actually can, you know, cause so many underlying health issues, both physically and mentally. But it can also ruin like relationships and all the rest of it as well. So, you know, I kind of had to take myself away from the situation and said, okay, listen, kind of what you're saying, Toni, like, what is it that's going to like work for me? Like, what's going to make me happy? So I thought, you know what, as much as I think that university is an amazing institution, and by 100%, if you need to, you need to. But for me, I thought, actually, I want to start my own business. I want to do this. I feel like I can do it by doing this without going to uni. And I mean, that came with its own stress as well, of course. But because I was doing something that I loved, I feel like it was a lot more bearable. So some of the things that other people might find stressful, because I enjoyed what I was doing, I do enjoy what I do. It's not stress. So it's an interesting thing, stress, isn't it? Because Toni, as you mentioned, it can actually lead to you hitting rock bottom, being so stressed, and
it's so odd, because it's like lifestyles of human beings are so complex.
Yeah.
Like, I'm single, not married. You have 3 kids and a wife. Like, you're Danielle, you have 3 kids. You know, Adam, you have clients who is so stress is going to look so different for us. It's like, you know, so that's why it's always so smart or practical to go within and ask yourself those questions, because it's like, even though I'm a savage about my self-care, I have a certain time privilege, because I'm not responsible to a partner, or you know what I'm saying? So I organize I have a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but as like, I have moms as clients, and I hear their pain points. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to time and things like that. So it's just like, it's so complex, because lifestyles are so different. 100%. You know, so the way you approach that is really just individualizing by asking yourself that question. Is like, yo, how much time am I putting towards my joy, fun, and play? How can I redesign balance? And what would it look like if I did less? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's that. I think it's that word balance again that comes into play with most of the topics. And Danielle, like, with what you do in terms of yoga, like, do you get a lot of people coming to you, you know, taking up yoga because they are stressed, or?
Oh yeah, I would say if they're not coming to me for a physical injury, it's probably stress is the second thing that they're coming to me for. And yoga is amazing at relieving stress, of course, but
have any of you tried yoga apart from Danielle?
I literally tried it for the first time maybe yesterday, the day before.
Okay.
Like an hour and 15 session. It was like the new big like level. It's like new, beginner, intermediate, and then expert.
Yeah.
It was quite good. I enjoyed some bits. I really enjoyed, like more the relaxing part rather than the stretches.
You're not a stretchy type of guy.
Like, the gyms have just reopened, haven't they? So I've been going every day. So it was so stiff. It was just impossibly sore. But yeah, it was really good. Like the breathing, everything, the relaxing, like grounding yourself on the floor. So like you say, it just relieves stress definitely. So I'll be doing that again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've for years I've done yoga off and on. Like it's just like I did Bikram yoga. I did, but July, yeah, June and July has been my first month where it's just like, oh, this is me.
How you find it? Is it recommended for sure?
I will recommend it because you know what, Danielle, you do this, so go ahead.
No, I just didn't know who he was directing at. So no.
No, yeah, anyone, tell me.
Because I'm a newbie to it as an actual practice. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. My zeal is on like 1,000 about it because I'm just like, if you're a human being on this weird planet during these weird times, like breathing and stretching, like anything that gets your blood flow going, there's things that are happening that we probably don't even logically understand. But I know for me, I'm hooked because of the way I feel, you know, and I don't even do intense. And then doing it outside, oh my goodness, this is like, I'm like, I would definitely be like, advocate for it. Yoga is like a must. So go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yoga outside is the best in my opinion. It transcends from what you can do in a studio or at home. But yeah, yoga would be really recommended in my opinion. The deep breathing just on its own is going to be amazing for relieving stress. So if you're ever gonna try to take a yoga class and all you want to do is like a deep breathing, you could try like a restorative class or a yin class. But if you need to get out, you know, those stress chemicals out of your body and you need to work out, you could do power yoga, you could do vinyasa yoga. So there's a lot of options for what you need. For me, I just love laying on the ground and restorative and just breathing. That's what my self-care looks like. So
yeah. And I mean, there is that, isn't it? And Adam, you're a gym goer. I'm not sure if the rest of you guys are. But would you say you approach the gym differently when you're stressed to when you're not?
I'd probably say it's the only time I'm not really stressed, if you know what I mean. Like for me, I try and get up early, like between 6 and 7, have some food and that, then go straight to the gym.
Oh wow,
really
nice.
Sets me up for the day, really. I feel like get, like you say, the blood flowing, release some endorphins, and I feel more relaxed and better and more energized throughout the day. So I'd probably say that helps my stress levels throughout the day. Whereas if, for example, like today, I didn't actually go to the gym this morning and just feel like slightly more groggier and things get to you a bit more, like I was saying before about the client, you're just a bit more like, oh, what are you doing, rather than thinking, come on, let's just try and cajole them along. But yeah, I definitely say like the gym for me would be like yoga is, say, for you, Danielle, or you, Toni. It's just like your time to relax, even though it's like not really a relaxing thing to do, but for me it's quite relaxation, therapeutic, because you distance yourself away from the world, don't you? It's the hour you've got to yourself to just focus on one thing. You don't really have any worries, really.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, when I've had stressful days, and that could be due to any number of reasons, definitely the gym. But sometimes, you know what it is? Sometimes it's not even just the gym, the physical exercise, but it's individuals that you would meet at the gym, so like my gym partner or someone else that we might have a conversation with whilst we're there. And this, you know, we're kind of bringing it to sort of talking. And a lot of times people are stressed and under stress because we find it hard to communicate, because we feel like people may not understand, or we feel like actually, even like yourself, Adam, perfect example of you starting your own business, and you know, you've got it going, but you're coming under sort of heavy sort of stress attacks, you know, but you wouldn't tell your parents because you want to try and handle it, or whatever the case may be. So, you know, would you say that talking to individuals?
Yeah, I think for me as well, working on my own as well, you get caught up in your own little bubble as well. And also sometimes I may think that even though my friends are there for me, they don't really understand the situation you're in. So they don't understand what you're going through with, say, the pressure of managing and getting new clients and stuff like that. And when you do talk to them about it, even though they obviously care, they don't really understand where you're coming from. They don't go through that the emotional roller coaster that you're going on day by day and week by week. But I think definitely, especially during lockdown, it was tough because we're going through like a bit of a rocky patch through the business. So I think there, when I was just on my own, it's difficult to obviously express yourself and you get caught up in your own, I don't know, in your head, isn't it, really?
Yeah, of course.
So I think, talking to people is definitely the one. Like you said about going to the gym with someone, like obviously just going back to the gym, going to the gym with my friends, it does help you just, like you say, it releases stress, doesn't it? Just having like a laugh and a joke and a bit of banter with your mates really helps.
Of course, because I mean, a lot of the times, definitely there are definitely stressful things that take more than a conversation. But I feel like there's a lot of situations, a lot of times where I've said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed," and I've voiced what I'm stressed about, and even as I'm saying it, to whoever, I then instantly go, "Oh, wait a minute. Why am I even stressed about that?" Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I even bothered about that? It's not even that bad. But then, as you said, because you keep it in your head, and the versions that play in your head are so much worse. You add stress upon stress, and before you know it, you're just. And again, there's been times where I've been stressed, and it's affect my eating, it's affect my sleeping, and then obviously that then has a rippling effect on your entire life, and then your life has a rippling effect on your family and your friends and your colleagues, and before you know it, it's like that domino effect. So in terms of being stressed, do you guys have when you're stressed, do you comfort eat? Do you stress eat? Do you stress sleep? Do you stress, like, what did you normally, or what do you normally do?
For me, I'm a big, okay, well, it depends on what phase I'm in.
Yeah.
I am self-aware enough to know that I have a very addictive personality. So when I get into it, it lasts for a little bit. So I've gone through shopping as comfort. Recently, I'm still under quarantine here, so it's been ice cream and so there's the bad things. I personally have a medical marijuana card here, so I love the use of cannabis to help me relieve stress. I don't know what it's like where you guys live, but that for me is a healthier thing than going for like the ice cream that I want every night, or it's hard to fall down those rabbit holes.
What's your flavored ice cream? Like, what's your flavor? What's your go-to?
All right, I've been real hooked on, I don't know if you guys have Sonic there. I don't think you do. Do you?
No.
Okay, well, it's this ice cream creation that has like peanut butter and Reese's.
Oof.
And it's everything, and I've been addicted to it. So
Danielle, where do you live?
I live in Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, yeah, you did say that. Okay, got it.
If you have a Sonic,
are you familiar with?
Yeah, we
with
have
Sonic?
Sonic. Yeah, we have Sonic.
Okay, no, that sounds delightful. I'm an ice cream fan. I don't know if you are, Adam, but I'm an ice cream fan, and that sounds absolutely amazing.
Sounds good. Yeah, I like Reese's as well.
Yeah,
me too.
But yeah, sorry. Continue what you were saying about yeah.
You talking about ice cream there?
Yeah, well, it was a mixture between sort of marijuana and ice cream, but the ice cream just kind of caught I just thought, oh, ice cream.
They kind of go together sometimes, so. But yeah, that's how I like to relieve stress. But those are my unhealthy ways. So I am a huge advocate for self-care as well. For me, that's also number one. It has to be part of my day at some point. So that's what I would give advice most about, is prioritize your self-care and be mindful in your choices when you make them. Put the ice cream down and try some fruit or something,
Yeah.
If it's every night, like it's been for me at least.
Every night. That's amazing. That's amazing. So obviously we're in 2020, the year that they said was cancelled because of COVID-19. It's a funny time, isn't it? And stress levels can, well, I mean, it's almost guaranteed to be record high. How have you guys found lockdown? Like, how have you guys dealt with the stresses of your four walls and you know, being alone with yourself, and also maybe with whoever you're with and so forth. Like, how have you coped with that? Or are you not coping?
I'm coping really well. Like it's like I've talked to a lot of people who have shame around being able to say this, but I don't have shame around it. It's been the best year of my life. Like it's been the best year of my life. For a long time, a lot of the things that we normalize, I thought was always crazy. So I always felt alone, you know? And so the fact that a lot of things that are being exposed or people are waking up to is just like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, you know, so I feel a lot normal. So it's like a boost in my own confidence in the way that I think and process and perceive things. But secondly, I reduced a lot of my this attachment to this identity of being an independent woman. So I was attached to it because I used to be married. So after my divorce, it was just all about like, well, how do I do life on my own? And so once I got some ground around that, it was just about like being this independent woman who can do it on her own. And so last year I had to let that go. I lost a lot of income. I moved back in with family, so which became a really like blessing for me because I was able to reduce a lot of the things that stress you, you know, the responsibility to have a home and landscaping and bills and all of these things. So the way that I've been coping is really just kind of just sustaining my practice, you know, with the yoga, whether it's the self-care. And then I'm not at the house a lot. I'm outside, I'm at farms, I'm at, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like when I go do laptop work, I try to be outside and not inside so much. You know, so the way I've been coping is just finding a rhythm without all of that responsibility. And when I find myself wanting to do more because it's my default, you know, it's like when you have goals, projects, and passions, you're just like, oh, I could do this and I could do that, you know, or, you know, I find myself having to revisit, you know, at least once a month, like what does it look like for me to do less? Because it's a lot of shit going on. Excuse my language, but
no, it's true.
It's a lot for any human being. Like if you have no responsibility on your plate, it's a lot to just process of what's going on in the world. If you have a family, it's still a lot to process going on, this being a human being. So it's just like, for me, I just try and check in with myself every month of like, doing less is the game changer. So what can I check off? What can I say no to more? You know what I'm saying? Are my yeses true? You know?
That's interesting, isn't it? Because like in terms of stresses, you would say a lot of the times you've got a lot on your plate, you've got a lot to juggle. And you know, Adam, with having your own business as well, you would know like it's and the rest of you, the more you have on your plate, of course, the more stress you're going to get, because you know you're not starting a business, you're not doing things to just get here. Like you want to get, you know, or you want to go all the way with it. But then you're also at the gym and you want to go all the way with your gym, and just the whole life, you know, you're wanting to always exceed and push past. And again, this goes back to your point, Toni, about you know, before 2020, every single day, you know, we added something new to our plate. You know, there was always a new friend, and that new friend needed attending to. Like, you know, that new friend was into something that you had to then get into, and you know, the new place that you had to go, or a new skill you had to learn, and before you knew it, you've got all these different branches that you got to keep in sort of entwined with. But definitely it's a stressful year if you allow it to be, but it's definitely a blessing. But again, pushing it back to sort of how you guys have coped, or you know, or not coped. Did you say
shifting perspective helps too? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's literally like, you know how you can look at one thing and somebody can look at it another way, and you guys see two different things. It's like you can do that with yourself. It's like there's a version of me that's like, yo, this is screwed up. Like this is crazy. This is what is going to happen. Like I could do that. It's true. But I try and transcend that and say, how can I shift my perspective to be more gentle with myself, where there's less internal violence and chaos within myself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like that shifting perspective. Okay, I'm done.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
For me, obviously lockdown has been crazy. I've completely like restructured and remodeled my business. Say at the start of 2020, I thought 2019 was really tough. 2020, I thought, as everyone would, 2020 is going to be my year. I can't wait. Yeah. I just got my first office in Cardiff and everything, doing really, really well. And then obviously COVID hit, and then I was like, oh fuck. And then that was end of March, wasn't it? And the next 2 months was really tough. But even though it was tough for the business, it was quite good because you're out of that the mad world, aren't you? That's just going 100 miles an hour. So I had some like time to reflect and realize what's more important in life, kind of thing. And then now, rather than say paying for an office, etc., I'd rather just work home based, entirely remotely. Also, what was stressing me out is having only one phone. I didn't think this would like make much difference, but I had one phone for work and personal, and then getting a personal and a work phone has just completely like transformed me. During lockdown, I was like so stressed, thinking like work all the time, 24/7. I had a nightmare client. There was messaging at like 11 o'clock at night and stuff. So now I've got two phones, a work phone, which is like 9 to 5. And then as soon as 9 to 5 is finished, I can go on my phone, my phone, and just enjoy that. And that's really like cleared my head.
That is, do you know what, Adam? Just on that point, it's so interesting, isn't it, that we're the same people that we were back in 2019 in terms of we're the same, we're you know, but the clarity in which we're now seeing, the clarity in which we can now think, you know, even just general. Just things that you're like, wait a minute, why did I not? And it is because it's just constantly going. Like you know, on a Monday, if you're not out, you know, having dinner with a friend after work, or if you're not going to see your mom, or if you're not going to do this, or going to play this sport, or going to this concert, like, you know, there's no time to just logically think about things, is it? You know, like, as you said, having two phones. Simple solution to a lot of why are you going to have a client stress you out in your personal time, you know? Just
it's actually mental. And then what I was doing beforehand, it was more like one-to-one kind of marketing, going and taking videos, etc. And then obviously during COVID, you couldn't do that, you couldn't meet people, so changing that to completely remote work. And obviously remote work, we've got a client in Sydney now, in America, as well. So obviously you can work.
Congratulations, good.
Congratulations.
All around the world and stuff. So changing that has just made life so much easier, because say I can rock out of bed, if you know what I mean, go into the study and then kind of work 9 to 5 like that, rather than worrying about traveling to meetings, traveling to go and filming, etc. So it's been a good time to reflect, really, and obviously like nullify the stressful things in life and just make life a lot more easier and straightforward.
I mean, how did you get to that point of actually going? Because of course, like at the start of COVID, it was very much chaos. Like just in terms of the uncertainty, and you know, I remember going into work into the office on the Thursday, and everyone going, "Oh, there's rumors that, you know, tomorrow Friday we're all going to go into lockdown," and then people going, "Oh no, it's not going to happen," and then I see, you know, and I see the other half of people like grabbing all the office supplies, you know, the printing paper and all the everything, and you know, it was definitely that uncertainty. So of course everything's all jumbled, everything's all muddled up. At what point did you kind of have that time to
because obviously we went into lockdown, wasn't it, end of March really, and then kind of like end of May I kind of like made the decision. It was like in the back of my mind throughout. We had like a couple of contracts that were coming to the end during lockdown, and they weren't, say, re-signing, for example. We had a couple that were ready and waiting, but obviously we couldn't supply the services because we couldn't go and meet them, we couldn't film the videos, etc. So it was just kind of just using my own initiative and a bit of research and just realizing, right, how can I make this work remotely during this pandemic? And that was just, I don't know, it's just kind of like a realization. It's like a light bulb moment, just thinking, right, this is literally the only way. I suppose when you're like an entrepreneur, I hate using the word entrepreneur, but entrepreneur, you always find a way, don't you? So it was just finding that way of how I could generate the income and adapt to this current situation. And yeah, I think it's gonna in the long term, I think it's definitely gonna work out for the best anyway. Because it's just more practical and it's just more time efficient for me. And like you say, it's less stressful because people not having to deal with people on my personal phone as well.
It's more about yourself, you know. I feel like in terms of stress levels, you know, this current situation that we're in, it's given individuals the time to actually be individuals and not just workers, and not just a mum going on a school run, or not just a dad at, you know, it's given us time to actually, that time where we're spending getting ready, that well, half an hour for me. I'm not sure for the rest of you guys how long it takes to get ready to head out to work in the morning, but I'm pretty sure for some of you it might be an hour, it might be 45 minutes, it might be an hour and a half. You know, that time plus the commute, plus the, you know, getting into the office and settling and so forth, that time, that's all almost wasted time. And you know, we've got that back tenfold. And yeah, when that penny or that light bulb moment comes for you, Adam, I'm pretty sure it's one of those ones of that seeing clearly, going, oh my gosh, you know, why and when why could I not have gotten here sooner? But this is
the stress that you don't really think you have, and then when you kind of get rid of that, you just feel more relaxed in yourself and your head's a lot clearer. So yeah.
I mean, let's Danielle, let's talk kids. I mean, we've got kids pretty much around the same age, because that brings its own stress in lockdown. You know, no schools, no schools. Some people are lucky enough to obviously have enough space to sort of distance themselves from the kids during work time and so forth. But how have you been dealing with it?
It's definitely harder with kids, and here in Arizona, it's very hot, so going outside really isn't an option. We are pretty much stuck inside all day. So stress, that's been my number one stress, is keeping my kids entertained. As far as coping with stress in general, this year, I've just tried really hard just to lean into whatever comes my way. I'm just gonna lean into it and just go with the flow. It's been an awesome year for self-reflection, and it's been very slow, and I've really prioritized a lot of things for me and my mental health and things like that. So it's been a good year.
Give me some tips on how to how have you been entertaining your kids? Like what are some of the genius ideas you've come up with, or has it just come to like just shoving them in a room and just keeping the door closed? Just chucking some food
kind
in.
of coming to that. I mean, I am running out of ideas. I feel like I've tried everything. I've bought activity kits off of Amazon, books, everything. We're 5 months in. They're just so bored. So thankfully school starts next week online for them. So
oh wow, okay.
I might get a moment to breathe.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like my son, he literally said to me the other day, "Oh, when are we going back to school?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "At what point does a kid ever say, when are we going back to school?" You know, not going. Not this must mean that they reached the end of, you know, right, dad, mom, like you can't entertain me anymore. You know, I need my friends, I need school, I need education, I need whatever it is, like on that level. So yeah, I find that so interesting, because you're right, you do get to the point where you've done all the activities, and then it's just like you recycle. But kids don't like recycling, do they? They like new and
adventure. They like adventure.
Exactly.
And they'll let you know when they're bored.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, now it's just the days just dragged on it. So it's like, you know, you can't just expect to have the one bit of entertainment for the day. Oh no, you've got to have, you know, an entertainment every hour on the hour.
Right. I've been trying to tell my kids, let's have something to look forward to, even if it's small, at least once a day. If we have something small to look forward to once a day, it'll make our day a lot easier, because it's tough being here. So even if it's just a little thing, like doing like self-care face masks at night together, or baking something. It's just one little thing a day makes a big difference, in my opinion.
That makes a lot of sense. Just as we're sort of coming towards the end of the chat, I just wanted to say, you know, obviously this has been definitely a time that we've all sort of reflected, and you know, I've started to rebrand my business and how I do business and so forth. But then, you know, I was actually thinking to myself, what is it about us human beings that we always wait until you know, a devastating situation before we kind of like buck up our ideas, or before we sort of see a different way of doing things and so forth. You know, it's like, you know, we attend the funeral and we're just like, oh my gosh, life is too short. We've got to, you know, we've got to live life. And then you start changing things, or, you know, you get in the near-death experience, or, you know, it's always something catastrophic that brings about change. I mean, do you think that's just the way that we are, or do you think we just don't take enough time to?
Well, I think that, because I always, you know, it's just funny that you said it, Jermaine, because I always say this all the time. It's like, why does death get our present? Why does death always the one, or tragedy always the one to bring us together? If we're all on the elevator, we don't speak to each other, you know, but if we all get stuck on the elevator, we're working as a team. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're more connected. And it's like, what is it about that? And I think that it's probably something that's like a universal construct, because a lot of things come out of darkness. You know what I'm saying? When you think about the growth of trees and plants and babies, you know what I'm saying? It's all in unseen spaces. So it's just something about that construct of darkness or uncomfortability or pain or tragedy, where it's part of like the construct of growth or birth or reflection. You know what I'm saying? It's like something new is on the rise. Yeah. And so it grounds us back to, you know what I'm saying? It's like when everything's great, it's just like everything is out there and we're on our, you know, routine and things, but then it's like something happens and it needs to reground us to make sure that we're, you know, on the path that's true and in alignment to like how we want to live out our life. So it could be one of, because it's like I swing between both, like saying like, hey, death shouldn't always get our attention to be present and revisit like what's important. But it's also like sometimes, as painful as it is, and it's a reminder, as and limited as our comprehension is processing it, it's still a reminder. It still has a gift, and you know, based on how you see it, you know. So it has that duality where it's just like two truths can exist about it, you know.
Yeah, of course. I think it's definitely it's you know, this subject sort of stress definitely comes from a place of, you know, a system that we're individuals that we have a lot on our plate. You know, we have our personal lives, we have our social lives, we have our business lives. We've got so many things going on. And if there's one bit of advice that I can give, and I definitely took that out of lockdown, because here in the UK we're kind of out of lockdown, but not. It's a little bit strange. I'm not sure how you see it, Adam, but for me it still feels it still feels a little bit strange. I mean, I had to go into the office today, and there's still no one. It's an office floor that has like 5 floors and different companies in each floor. I think there was only about 6 people in, but you know, the advice is go back out to work, and if you can, all this sort of stuff. But I think if it's one thing that I've definitely taken from this situation, is to take some time to self-reflect, so to actually be vigilant, you know, and sort of hold myself accountable for, okay, let me see where I'm at, make sure that I'm on target, make sure that, you know, again, it is this self-care, isn't it? Because a lot of the times we just go, and it is until these sort of tragic moments happen and you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, then you start reflecting. So it's definitely taking that time to reflect, hopefully before anything catastrophic happens, to help limit that stress. But yeah, so if you had to sort of leave our viewers and me and the rest of us with a bit of advice, a bit of anything at all pertaining to stress, what would that be?
Oh, good question. I think maybe from my personal experiences, it's just figuring out what stresses you out and trying to remove that from your life, really. Like you said, obviously we've had good time to reflect during the pandemic. So yeah, just have a think about what stresses you out in your life and try and remove that as much as possible from your life.
Yeah, good bit of advice.
I would say maybe being just be easy and gentle on yourself. And my philosophy these days is I'm going to treat myself like I would treat like a child or my child. I'm going to be gentle and easy on myself and understanding. And I think that's what I think that would help a lot of people if they took the time to just, be gentle on themselves.
It's good bit of advice. Toni, what would you, tell us, what are you leaving us with? What are you leaving the viewers with in terms of?
I would have to say, I want to, because I literally can piggyback off of Danielle and Adam and what you all suggest, but I would add to that, it's fun and play and pleasure. Just remembering that, you know what I'm saying, and making that a priority, you know, that matters. So.
Yeah. So I think if it's interesting, the one thing that definitely has come from all this is that reflection, is that self-care. It's that, you know, stresses will definitely come about, but it's finding those coping mechanisms to deal with them. Finding that outlet, whether it be yoga, whether it be the gym, whether it be going for walks. To be honest, whether it's eating a tub of what was the name of the ice cream brand?
Oh, it was from Sonic, and it's called a Reese's Overload Blast.
Oh gosh,
it's a restaurant, yeah.
I mean, you might have to ship some to myself and Adam.
Certainly.
But I heard Ben and Jerry's is amazing, though.
You guys haven't got Ben and Jerry's over there, no?
No, we do.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well, sorry. I mean, I guess you guys do have everything that we've got. It's just the other way around.
Ben and Jerry's is awesome.
No, it is. It is. Cookie dough is amazing for sure. But guys, honestly, thank you very much for joining me on this chat. I think it's been an insightful one, and it's one that I hope that even if it's just one bit of advice that someone can take just to make their life that much or that little less stressful. But honestly, thank you very much for joining me and giving me your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I would love to get everyone's Instagram.
Yeah, of course. How could people find you guys if they have any sort of questions based on anything that you've said?
At Ads Roberts on everything.
At what, sorry?
ADZZZ, so that's 3 Z's, and then Roberts, at Ads Roberts on pretty much everything, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff.
Nice. What about you?
You can find me on Instagram at The Wild Feminine, and that's pretty much the only social media I'm on. So yeah, but you can find me there.
Nice.
And mine is Wife Your Life, and I am Toni Jones on Instagram.
Perfect. So what I'll do is I will take all of your ads and I'll put in the description. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you guys for any particular reason, which I'm sure that they will, and I hope that they do, they can find you in the description. But once again, thank you very much for joining.